Okay, so last time we're on Daniel part 2, uh, lesson 3, covering actually your cross references Revelation 12 and 13. Last time we went over chapter 7 and we made parallels between chapter 2 and chapter 7. And we started making some tracks. I kind of want to go back to chapter 2. And I have these lists somewhere on my computer. But in Daniel's interpretation with those toes, so then there will be a fourth kingdom. That was Rome. As strong as iron, and as much iron crushes and shatters all things, so like iron that breaks in pieces, it will crush and break all these in pieces. In that you saw the feet and toes, partly of potter's clay and partly of iron. It will be a divided kingdom, but it will have in the toughness of iron, inasmuch as you saw the iron mixed with the common clay. As the toes of the feet were partly of iron and partly of pottery, so some of the kingdom will be part strong and part brittle. So this is like you're making a list on this kingdom. In that you saw iron mixed with common clay, they will combine with one another in the seed of men, but they will not adhere to one another, even as iron does not combine with pottery. In the days of those kings, we call them our toe kings or whatever, there's 10 of them. The God of heaven will set up a kingdom which will never be destroyed, and that kingdom will not be left for another people. It will crush and put an end to all of these kingdoms. But it itself will endure forever. Inasmuch as you saw that a stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and it crushed the iron and the bronze and the clay and the silver and the gold, the great God has made known to the king what will take place in the future. So the dream is true and the interpretation is trustworthy. Okay, so whenever you're doing this, you're making a list on what's said about each of these pieces. Like Medo-Persia, it's a kingdom inferior to Babylon, and things like that. And then when we did chapter 7, you want to make observations and lists on what was said about those beasts, what was said about Christ's kingdom, because we identified that stone as Christ, and that his kingdom, remember, it became a big mountain and took over the whole earth, and it's a kingdom which will not be destroyed. We saw that in chapter 7 as well. So in chapter 7, Daniel has this vision, so we have this lion that comports with Babylon. We have this bear and his 3 ribs, which comport with Medo-Persia. We have that 4-headed leopard that comports with Greece. And then we have this great and terrible beast and he has 10 horns on his head. And we learn that there is a little horn that rises up and topples 3 of them. So this little horn, we get a description of him. Big one is he's boastful and boastful against God. So, but we're also told he persecutes the saints, but the court sets, the books are opened, and judgment is given to the saints of the most highest one. And the beast is destroyed, and then we have the Son of Man's dominion. And so we saw here the Ancient of Days was on the throne. The Son of Man came in, and we call it the coronation of King Jesus. This comports with Revelation chapter 4 and 5 as well. So, now she wanted you to make parallels between Revelation 12 and 13. And so you're going to want to, we're going to have a little bit of time off. I think I'll teach next week unless I just like, in case something happens, but then we'll take about 2 or 3 weeks off. I don't know if it'll be 3. I told my other class I'll let you know, but it's, you never know what's going to happen. But we're trying to get that store open. So this, go back through this. I can send those lists out, but it's a lot better if you make your own. So I do have a list on my computer of everything in chapter 2, everything in chapter 7 about all these pieces and parts.
I'd like a list just for reference because I'm having a hard time pulling things, finding the things that I'm looking for. I feel so lost, Jen. I mean, the best part of my week, honestly, is here. Right here doing this by you, listening to you talk. I mean, I was in this room yesterday for 5 hours with things spread out all over the table, and I still couldn't find what I was looking for. I just am lost with the pieces.
Yeah.
Kim's supposed to help me, but she's been really busy with her other mom. I have to give her grace for that.
Right, yeah.
But
So most of the time,
send it to Kim.
Yeah.
And I'd like to make my own list, but I'd
Okay.
like to see the list first.
yeah, and we didn't really do the paragraph divisions with chapter 7 because
No.
I felt like we had so much, but usually it really starts with doing your paragraph titles and your chapter themes and getting that down. You're asking your questions of each paragraph, your 5 W's and your 1 H. And the main thing is the plain thing, and you get to a paragraph title, and then you can get to a chapter theme of what is this chapter really about. Go in forest instead of trees, and then you can go in with your keywords. She'll tell you to mark keywords, and you mark those keywords, and your keywords unlock the text. If that word wasn't in the text, there's no meaning. Like, your text has no meaning. So it's a key word that's telling you what is being said. And so the key with precepts is you start making a list on your keywords. Anytime you see that keyword, you're like, okay, what is it saying about that keyword? What is it saying? And you make a list on your characters, make a list on God. She wants you to make a list on Daniel. You want to make a list on the stone and comport it with what's said about the Son of Man. You want to make a list on God Most High and comport it with the Ancient of Days. Like, once you know who these people are, even though they're being called by different names, you want to make a list on them. And so now we've been introduced to been introduced to 10 kings. So we want to make a list on them, and we want to make a list on this little horn. Because whenever you make a list on these things, then it starts unlocking the text. You're like, oh, okay. Now I see. And some people like to just do it longhand.
That's me.
I like to personally copy and paste the text onto a Word document and start making a list just by editing. That's how I like to do it. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's how I like to do it. And everything's in one place, and I can copy and paste to other places and things like that. So it's really just how you learn and how you do things. So whenever you get in there, and, you know, I always tell people with their lessons, like, look for the bold numbers, take a ruler, put a line above the bold number. That's your paragraph division. And then start asking your 5 W's and 1 H of that paragraph to figure out what's really going on. Who are your characters? Who, you know, what's going on? How is it happening? Why is it happening? Where is it happening? That's your geography. You're marking your geography. You're marking your terms of conclusion. What's the therefore? What comes before that? After these things, what things?
Yeah.
And so you're always going back, and you're always looking at time phrase.
A recap of what was said.
Yes, exactly. You're always looking at your time references, contrasts, comparisons, all kinds of things. And after you observe the text and you unlock the text and you see what it says, you can go in further. You can do word studies. You can to see like what the original Hebrew and Greek said, and then you might have like 5 different definitions for the same word. Well, then you have to go in and look at literary flow and which one fits. And it's not hard. It really isn't. It's not hard.
It sounds overwhelming.
It does sound
It does.
overwhelming, and I'll tell you why. Because we were not taught to study. This is teaching you to study. I was like, how are these people getting these answers? But you know what? I was shown how to study. And this is just, it's not a Bible study method. It's just a study method of how you unlock text to see what's being said. It's the same as what you did in school somewhat, except it was a little easier in school because like this is your chapter, this is your vocabulary word, it was highlighted in the text, this is a definition, and so you were able to like take your notes and pass your tests and all that kind of stuff. This is a little different because your keywords aren't highlighted for you. You have to go find them and mark them and highlight them yourself. But it's slowing you down so you're seeing exactly what the text says. That's why you're going over it, and going over it. You're doing that precursory. Okay, these are my paragraphs, 5 W's and 1 H. Can I get to my paragraph title and my chapter theme? Okay, good. Now, let me go in and mark my keywords. Let me do some lists on my keywords. Okay. Well, let me look at literary flow or my paragraph themes and my chapter themes. Like maybe I need to change them. And you're just kind of, as you're making new observations, you might end up changing those things. Because you're like, okay, wait, what I thought was important is not important. This is important. This is what's really going on. So I'm going to change my paragraph theme and my chapter theme. You get done with the lesson, you come in here, and we talk about it. And so it's really, the method is really just slowing you down and getting you to really look at the text. And I tell people just do it at your level that you're comfortable. Because it will come later. Like I used to give the whole thing and this is how you do a word study and people would just be like, and it's like, okay, let's just get through the basics here. Yeah.
So the next time I take this, it'll be easier for me.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Yeah.
The next one's
Well, I mean, honestly, Revelation was the first time I did precepts. So you're kind of getting baptized by fire, so to speak. So, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to do this cross-reference to chapter 7 and lay down some tracks. Now that we've laid down these tracks, we know that we call this the revived Roman Empire. This part right here, these 10 toes, and Rome.
Sorry.
So, I have a thing upstairs. I should have brought it down. Not yet. So a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. And she was with child, and she cried out, being in labor and in pain to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns. Oh boy. So that's my dragon. And he has 7 heads. And he has 10 horns. Now, from what I know from Daniel chapter 7, where am I going to put the 10 horns? Am I going to put them all over the heads? We don't know. We're going to just put this note over here, 10 horns. I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to put that there somewhere later. Okay. And on his heads were 7 diadems.
Where do you
Many gods, right? Many gods, or crowns,
I think it's
Wow.
diadems. Diadems, so
like
like
crown.
Yeah. Like crowns. And his tail swept away a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth, so that when she gave birth, he might devour her child. And she gave birth to a son, a male child, who is to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up to God and to his throne.
This sounds exactly like, what was the lady's name that you said it was the first, Gnosticism? Who gave birth to, who I looked at.
Oh, Sophia?
This sounds like, yeah, cause she gave birth to a boy and, yeah.
when she beats her son's dog.
It sounds exactly like that.
Okay, so we have this dragon. He has 7 heads. On his head is 7 diadems. There's also 10 horns. We're going to place the 10 horns later. There's a woman, okay? And she is crying out because she's going to give birth, right? Okay, now, her description. She's clothed in the sun and the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. 12. What would 12 comport with in the Bible?
Disciples. Oh,
Well,
the tribes.
the 12 tribes of Israel. Who gives birth to the male child? He's a lion from the tribe of Judah. Messiah comes from Israel. This when you do your cross-referencing, when you're studying Revelation, this is Israel. The woman represents Israel. Cross-reference is Genesis, somewhere in 37, I think. That's with whenever Joseph has the dream of the sun, moon, and stars bowing down. That's what it comports with. It's Israel. It's not Mary. Don't go there. Okay. So a great red dragon, who is called a dragon. What's a synonym for a dragon? Serpent, right? Okay. So who is this? Who would stand before Israel so he could swallow up her child? Satan. So there are many instances in history where he tried to do away with Israel so that Israel could not bring about Messiah. One big one that we put on the timeline is Herod and slaying the baby boys. That's like whenever we do this, that's the big one we put on the timeline. Okay? And so he stood before the woman who was about to give birth, so that when she gave birth, he might devour her child. When she gave birth to a son, a male child, who is to rule all nations with a rod of iron. That's Christ. It's to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up to God and to his throne. Well, when did that happen? Because, okay, he had his ministry, he was crucified, he died, he died, was buried. He rose again on the third day. And then he went and put this is a whole thing, but anyway, he went and put the blood of propitiation on the altar. He came back down. He presented himself to the disciples. He was with them for 40 days. And then he ascended to the right hand of the Father. So he was caught up. Okay. So now this serpent and the tail and taking a third of the stars out of the sky, that was when a third of the angels defected, fell and became demons and followed Satan whenever he decided to lead a revolt against God. Okay. Then the woman fled into the wilderness where she had a place prepared by God so that she would be nourished for 1,260 days. Okay. So, remember last week I put this up here with chapter 7, your times, and half a times? So that comports with 1,260 days in 42 months and 3.5 years. Now this is Jewish calendar. So it's not going to be a full 365 days in a year. But all of these are synonymous. So whenever you see this in scripture, ding, 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 now this timeline that I just put here is the last 7 years before Christ comes and establishes his kingdom on earth. This is what we call the 7-year tribulation. So, this woman flees to the wilderness for 1,260 days, for times, and half a times. The reason why I'm placing this here, down here, and nowhere and not here, is because I've studied Revelation before. I've studied Daniel before, I've studied Revelation before, I've studied Ezekiel before, I've studied Isaiah. I know where to put this. There's a reason why I'm putting it down here. And I think we're going to get to it here in a minute. So she fled through the wilderness where she had a place prepared by God so that she would be nourished for 1,260 days. And there was a war in heaven. So there was a war in heaven, and Michael and his angels waging war with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels waged war, and they were not strong enough, and there was no longer a place for them found in heaven. And the great dragon was thrown down, the serpent of old, who is called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was thrown down to the earth, and the angels were thrown down with him. And then I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, now the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ have come. For the accuser of our brethren has been thrown down, who accuses them before our God day and night. And they overcame him because of the blood of the Lamb and because of the word of their testimony, and they did not love their life even when faced with death. For this reason rejoice, O heavens, you and you who dwell in them. Woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has come down to you, having great wrath, knowing that he has only a short time. Okay, so right now, at this time in history, Satan has access to heaven. And we were just told what he does with that time. Did you see what she did? It's like a courtroom up there. And so you have the prosecutor, And then you have your defense attorney, Jesus, coming in and saying, I paid for that. I took care of that. So, that's what he's doing now. But there's going to be a war in heaven. He's going to be thrown down. And he's going to know he has only a short time. 3.5 years. That comports with in 7 when we're told he'll be destroyed. When will he be destroyed? At the end of the 7-year tribulation. Actually, Satan won't. He'll be locked up. The beast will be destroyed, though. But he has only a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was thrown down to earth, he persecuted the woman who gave birth to the male child. Israel gave birth to Messiah. But the 2 wings of the great eagle were given to the woman. This is not the United States, that she could fly into the wilderness to her place where she was nourished for times, and half a times from the presence of the serpent. Again, that time phrase is very important. And the serpent poured water like river out of his mouth after the woman, so that he might cause her to be swept away with the flood. But the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and drank up the river which the dragon poured out of its mouth. So the dragon was enraged with the woman and went off to make war with the rest of her children who keep the commandments of God and hold to the testimony of Jesus. So whenever you do cross-referencing for Revelation, you see that the Jewish nation will accept the Antichrist as Messiah, but not all. And not all will take the mark. There are some that will be like, whoa, this is not what Messiah would do. And they flee. And they are persecuted by the dragon. When we get into Daniel chapter 9, we'll know why we're talking about 7 years here. So we have this dragon. He's got 7 heads. And he's got diadems on him. And he's got, we got 10 horns to deal with. Let's see if 13 tells us what the heads are. Yes. So they're the 10 kings, but we need to know what the 7 heads are. Huh?
Aren't they the world empire?
Yeah. So so Kim said, they're the world empires. Yes. Revelation 17 is a good cross-reference for this that will tell you that those 7 heads are 7 kingdoms. So on which the woman sits, the woman, Babylon, the harlot. So these 7 heads represent 7 world empires that are over the earth before Christ establishes his kingdom on earth. Okay? What is this telling you with this dragon being the serpent?
They're all with him.
Yes. Yes.
They've
He
joined
has.
forces.
Okay. So when did he get control? When did he get control down here? Somewhat. Because it's God. So it's very important. It's God who raises kings and who deposes kings. Everything that Satan does has to pass through the hands of God, but he has basically been given title deed to the earth. When did he receive that?
As soon as the restrainers removed, or
No, when.
oh,
Huh? Mm,
when he fell, was it when he fell?
when we fell.
When we fell,
We were given dominion of the earth. We handed it over to him whenever we,
in the garden.
whenever we trusted Satan's word over God's word. Yeah. So
Sealed our fate.
he's had dominion.
Right.
And the reason why we know that too is whenever he tempted Christ, if it wasn't in his power, so to speak, he wouldn't have been able to offer the world to Christ as a temptation. If you bow down and worship me, I'll give you the world. Okay, so here we go. But everything passes through the hands of God. So don't look at it as, oh my gosh. God is still sovereign. Okay? And so in Revelation chapter 4 and 5, whenever King Jesus walked, who is worthy to open the scroll, who is worthy for the title deed to the earth? Christ, the Lamb who was slain. It's a picture. Okay, he's taking dominion. He's God. He's over everything. Don't fall apart over this. But we're just talking about world here. Okay, well, we got 7 heads. We only got 4 empires here. Okay, so let's go through this. Let's back up. Rome, Greece, Medo-Persia, Babylon, Assyria, Egypt, and we have what we call revived Rome, warrior 10 kings, and your Antichrist kingdom. It's all kind of like all one thing, that last dominion. And so Christ, whenever he comes, he crushes all of this.
Right.
So your Antichrist is like the tail end of this. He's almost like an eighth. But you go back to Daniel and you see he topples 3, he's an eighth. That comports with Revelation 17, where he says he's also an eighth. So Revelation 17 is your big cross-reference to figure out that these 7 heads are 7 world kingdoms that are over the earth until Christ returns and establishes his kingdom on earth. He does not need our help. We do not need to take over the 7 pillars of society for him to establish his kingdom. We just need to tell people about him and let him do his thing. He'll come get us when it's time. And I was very happy to see in my inbox a headline from one of the Prophecy Watch people that said the bride does not get beat up before the wedding. I was like, thank you. It's like, thank you for having some sense.
The bride does not get beat up.
Yes, these people that are like, oh, the church has to go through, the 7-year tribulation. It's like, okay, yeah, I don't think so.
Do you remember the name of that? I know we watched it back when we did this the first time, where it was that short little movie about the depiction of the bride.
Yes, it's before the wrath.
Before the wrath.
Before the wrath.
Before the wrath.
Yes.
It's a really great.
Yes. Yes. And honestly, I had a really hard time with like putting the rapture, like placing the rapture. And I've taught, and I was just kind of like, oh. And in 2020, I told my classes, I was like, look, I'm not going to tell you that, pre-tribulation rapture is it just because we all want it to be. I'm really going to study this out. And I did. And I bought Bibles from the 1400s. I couldn't even read. I was like, well, what am I doing with this? And because it's that whole like rapture word thing and stuff like that. And honestly, it was watching that little documentary or whatever it was that all those people put together and about the Jewish wedding traditions, and it really blew it open for me, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I could see it all over scripture. Like I could really see it. I mean, I was just like, oh my gosh. And then even when I taught Isaiah, I was like, that's a rapture.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, wow, it's in the Old Testament. Like, I could see it after that. Like, my eyes were opened knowing the historical context. So, it was really, like, and then since then I've taught Thessalonians, so now I really understand it. But I hadn't taught Thessalonians. It was just a cross-reference, so I hadn't taught the whole thing before. Now, I've taken the class and I've taught it, so I get it now. Just reading a book about it wasn't, helpful. Okay. So now we know who this guy is. He's over these kingdoms. And the dragon stood on the sand of the seashore, and then I saw a beast coming up out of the sea, having 10 horns, 7 heads, and on his horns were 10 diadems, and on his heads were blasphemous names. Okay, so now we have another beast. And I'm just going to kind of color him in, just so we can have some.
Oh, this is 13.
Okay, so we have blasphemous names, and he has 10 horns. So we can place these 10 horns now on the last kingdom. And they have little crowns on them. Because why?
So essentially, they're revived Rome.
Yes, the 10 kings, the 10 kings. So we got, information about all these kingdoms trickling down to this last kingdom, this terrible beast, and these 10 kings that rise out of it that comport with the toe kings. Now we're like, okay, now we got the serpent, the dragon, Satan, and he's over the 7 world empires until Christ's empire. And we got these 10 horns on this last empire that comports with the 10 kings that we found out about in 2 and in 7. Okay, now we have this other beast, and on his heads, he's got blasphemous names, and on his last head, he's got 10 horns with crowns on those horns. That comports with the 10 kings. Okay, so who is this guy? We know this guy's Satan. Let's see who this guy is. Okay. And the beast which I saw was like a leopard, and his feet like those of a bear, and his mouth like a lion. Daniel chapter 7, lion, bear, leopard. And the dragon gave him his power and his throne and his great authority. So you're making a list. What did he give him? Satan gives the beast, we call him the beast. Yep, his power, his throne, and his authority. And I saw one of his heads as if it had been slain, and the fatal wound was healed, and the whole earth was amazed and followed after the beast. They worshipped the dragon because he gave his authority to the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast? And who is able to wage war with him?" Everybody ought to think about what's coming out of everybody's mouths right now. And there was given to him a mouth speaking arrogant words and blasphemies, and authority to act for 42 months was given to him. And he opened his mouth in blasphemies against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, that is, those who dwell in heaven. So there's a theme that runs through Revelation. Those who dwell in heaven and those who dwell on earth. It does not mean where they are physically dwelling at that moment. It's a delineation between believers and non-believers in Revelation. It's a little bit of literary flow that you get throughout the whole book and make that delineation by marking those two. Okay. So he is given authority to act for how long?
42 months. 3.5 years. Last.
Times, half a times, 1,260 days, 42 months. He is given authority to act. Oh, we have Satan. He's upset. He got kicked out of heaven. He no longer has access. He can't sit up there and do his thing. He knows his time is short. In 3.5 years, Jesus is going to come and take care of it all. He knows his time is short, so he gets upset with the woman and her children, those who hold to the testimony of Jesus Christ. He's given his power and his throne to the Antichrist. And that's his vehicle through whom he is worshipped and through whom he persecutes. He's given authority to act for 42 months. And I'm telling you, before we get to the 7-year tribulation, the Antichrist won't be revealed until after the rapture of the church. But you're going to see a lot of foreshadow going on. You're even going to, Matthew 24, when they asked Jesus, what is the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? Do not be deceived. Many will come in my name and say that I am he. They'll say he's out in the wilderness. Don't go out there. So yeah, what do we have going on? I don't know. So it was given to him to make war with the saints and overcome them, and authority over every tribe and people and tongue and nation was given to him. All who dwell on earth, non-believers, will worship him, everyone whose name has not been written from the foundation of the world in the book of the life of the Lamb who has been slain. This is not predestination. God is not picking and choosing people. God just knows who's going to come into faith because he's omniscient. We cannot violate the doctrine of free will. If anyone has an ear, let him hear. If anyone is destined for captivity, to captivity he goes. If anyone kills with the sword he must be killed. Here is the perseverance and the faith of the saints. Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. Oh my gosh. So now we have this, and this is how I do him.
Take a picture at the end.
Yeah.
Send it to me.
And it's going to just make a heck of a whole episode. It's like, yeah, you want to see my Daniel chapter 11 war map? It's like,
I want to see that too.
it's like, oh my gosh, I have to do this again. I don't even know what I drew. Yeah. Yeah.
Again,
It's like,
I'm looking at all these different pictures.
yeah.
Oh
Like,
my.
I'm like, I gotta get better at this.
This is my favorite chart we've done now.
So, yeah. It made sense. Like Daniel chapter 11 totally made sense when I was mapping it out. I was like, oh, and now I'm just like, oh. Yeah, it's like, oh. Okay. He exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence, and he makes the earth and all who dwell in it to worship the first beast, who has the fatal wound that was healed. Oh, a head wound. Oh, okay. And he performs great signs, so that even he makes fire come down out of heaven to earth in the presence of men. And he deceives those who dwell on the earth because of the signs which it was given to him to perform in the presence of the beast, telling those who dwell on earth to make an image to the beast who had the wound of the sword and has come to life.
He's trying to be like, but he's not.
Yes. So false Messiah, right?
False prophet.
Yeah, false, just false. So this beast guy, we call him the beast in from Revelation 13. it comports with the little horn of Daniel chapter 7. We know we're talking about the Antichrist. So now we're getting names. Same thing, Satan, serpent of old, dragon. Okay, so this guy, this two-horned guy, he has an image made to the beast, Daniel chapter 3. But he has an image made to the beast and causes everybody to worship. He performs these false signs and wonders. It was given to him to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast would even speak and cause as many as do not worship the image of the beast to be killed. And he causes all, the small and the great, and the rich and the poor, and the freemen and the slaves, to be given a mark on their right hand or on their forehead. Where are we today?
Well, Whole Foods in Bridge and Palm, I don't
Uh-huh.
have a palm.
Yes, we have that. Yes,
Cut.
yes. When you want to log into your computer, just put your little right finger
But it is so easy.
and a Face ID. They have. So you see it a lot in skincare right now with these micro dark patches. Look it up if you don't know what it is, but it's like micro dark patches for wrinkles and stuff like that. And so it delivers like serum. You don't even feel it, supposedly. Well, they have that technology for vaccines and quantum dot tattooing in this. So you can just slap on a Band-Aid type thing and you got your mark.
They talked about this in 2021.
Yeah.
Someone did.
Yeah, so they have the technology. The technology is here. That's another reason why we know it's so close, because it's like,
But you have to say you'll have it. This is, they can't just do this to you.
no, that's what
Right, you
people,
have to say
so
yes,
in 2020, whenever people were like,
will
oh, I've been tricked into, no, you haven't. There has to be a beast for you to
Yeah,
take the
just-
mark of the beast.
Yeah. And you have to be willing to take it. Yes.
Exactly. You're not going to be tricked. This is you bow down, you take this mark, or else you get killed. This is blatant, like Nebuchadnezzar. That was a foreshadow. This is what it is. You bow down, or
you go into the fight.
you're done. You're
It'll be an
not.
ultimatum.
Yes,
Not-
you are not going to get tricked into this.
Because that's not free will.
So not
No.
normalizing of something that you would then easily just be like, oh, you know.
So you're not going
Yeah.
for a facial and you're getting marked.
Right.
I'm going to go for a facial.
Yeah, no, and people that were worried about, going to the hospital and being given the vaccine while they were knocked out or whatever, that's a medical concern, not a salvation concern.
Because that does happen.
Right, exactly. That's totally like you're in your rights to not want that and to be angry and lawsuit and all that kind of stuff. But as far as salvation, absolutely not. If you are saved, you are already signed and sealed. The Holy Spirit is your seal. You already have the seal of the King, and it cannot be revoked. You cannot lose your salvation. And as a believer, you are not going to take the mark. And you can't take the mark of the beast if there's no beast. And the Antichrist won't be revealed until the rapture of the church. It's not. This is when he's given authority to act.
Doesn't it say somewhere, who is it that can see our seal? Is it?
Demons can see it. They know who's God and who's not. So you're having trials and tribulations and getting messed with. Congratulations, because Satan doesn't mess with his own. So have fun with that. All right. So, okay. Right hand, forehead, and he provides that no one will be able to buy or sell except the one who has a mark, either the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast. For the number is that of a man, and his number is 666. So 6 is the number of man. And there's all kinds of things flying around on YouTube about that. But anyway, just, we don't have to worry about that. We're not going to be in the tribulation. But, then I saw thrones, and they had sat. This is from 20. She brought this in. So in 20, whenever Jesus comes back and touches his feet on the earth for what we call the actual second coming, then I saw thrones, and they that sat on them, and judgment was given to them. And I saw the souls of those who had been beheaded because of their testimony of Jesus and because of the word of God, and those who had not worshipped the beast or his image and had not received the mark on their forehead or on their hand. They came to life and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. So she gave you that information as far as just like, whew. There will be people who will be saved during the 7-year tribulation. They will come into faith. They will not take the mark. They will not worship the beast. They will be murdered, but at the end, they will resurrect and reign with Christ for 1,000 years. So we can put 1,000 years after here. This is your 1,000-year millennial reign. Well, why can't it all just be over with? Because there are some covenants that need to be. It's your Davidic covenant, your Levitical covenant, your Mosaic covenant that need to be fulfilled for Israel. Okay, we're in Daniel, and we're getting information that's like, okay, we got 4 world empires before the stone. Christ comes, knocks them all out, his kingdom. Dominion forever. Take chapter 7. 4 world empires, but we get some information about some details about this 4th one. Like this bottom part of the 4th one. Okay? And there's this little horn. Daniel was really concerned about this little horn. Well, we're going to get more information as we go on in Daniel to piece it all out. She gave you the cross references to 12 and 13 to show you that these things that are being talked about in Daniel comport with things in Revelation. So Daniel is getting this information not only, and well, who is he writing to? Is he writing to the Gentiles, or is he writing to his people?
He was writing to the Gentiles.
There's 2 chapters in Aramaic, 2 and 7, because of the Gentile nations. The rest, Hebrew. He's writing to his people. Yes, God is giving Daniel these visions to let his people know what's going to happen in the future. And we're getting a timeline. We're building a timeline that I can go and plug Revelation into.
2 and 4 was to the Gentiles.
Well, 2 and 7, I think
2 and 7.
were Aramaic, I believe.
Written in Aramaic.
Yeah. The rest is Hebrew. So his main audience is the Jews. Is so why would if any of this stuff, this beast stuff, had anything to do with the church, why is Daniel getting that information way back when?
Yeah.
So what does that tell you?
It's not enough.
The church has not replaced Israel.
Yeah.
The church has not replaced Israel. We are walking down a timeline together. God the Father, the Ancient of Days, is the husband of Israel. Israel is the wife. She is depicted as his wife in Scripture, Ezekiel. The church is the bride of Christ. 2 different things. Through you, Abraham, all nations will be blessed. That was a covenant of salvation to all nations, Jew and Gentile. when we talk about the grafting in to Abraham, it's not a church taking over and becoming Israel. We're grafted in to that covenant of salvation. And we are for Israel. Yes. We love Israel because they're the apple of God's eye.
I'm jealous.
Well, I mean, but you're his child.
Yes.
Go read 2 Samuel chapter 22.
Second Samuel 22.
Yay. It's actually like we would call it a psalm or a song of David, but it's not in the Psalms. And read about David's life, and you're like, whew, there's hope for me. But it's really cool because he talks about what happens whenever he calls on God in his distress and what God does. And he does that for us too. So go read that. Anyway, so we have laid down some tracks in this.
No.
We have things to put on a timeline that we know that there is this time. We don't know anything about this time. We know about this time. And the only reason why I'm able to tell you about these two times is because I've studied this. And to put that on a timeline for you. Now, 7, we have Daniel in Babylon and in Medo-Persia. We have another one. We have that terrible crushing empire. We've identified it as Rome. We have 10 kings. We have a little horn, 3 topple. He has boast against God. He persecutes the saints. What did we just read about in 12 and 13? There will be saints in the 7-year tribulation. And then and your woman, Israel, who gave birth to Christ, will have to flee. Because he gonna get mad. Because he knows his time is short. And so he gives his power and his authority to the beast because he is worshipped and he rules through the beast. But he gives his power and authority to the beast. And he's given authority to act for 42 months. The beast, the little horn is given authority to act for times, and half a times.
So what's in this first section? Is that what we're saying, or we're not there yet? Okay.
We're not there yet.
Okay. Yeah. So when you look at this timeline, so the woman Israel, Messiah came through her, and he sits at the right hand of the Father after his ascension. So whenever he went up, 10 days later, we call it Pentecost, he gave us the gift of the Holy Spirit, our covenant seal. So the Holy Spirit, and that birthed the church. So where we're sitting right now, we call it the church age.
Is that 40 that you have in there?
Yeah. So we call it the church age. And after the church age is your 7-year term. And so some things that are being talked about in chapter 7 in Revelation, and that comport with Revelation 12 and 13, that times, and half a times in chapter 7 comports with that. So in Revelation 12 and 13, you're given more details about the little horn. The little horn comports with the second beast in chapter 13. Now, this guy with the 2 horns, we call him the false prophet. You get that name from somewhere else in
Is that the
Revelation.
same as the Antichrist?
No,
No,
they're
still.
separate.
No, he's like the worship leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have Satan, the Antichrist, and the false prophet.
Yeah, and so we call it the unholy
Is it
trinity.
funny? Yeah. I just-
Yeah, it's the unholy trinity.
The Trinity.
Yeah. So
So remind me, what's the 40 again? So he
this is when he was with the disciples.
disciples. Okay.
Yes, for 40 days.
Before he ascended.
Yes.
Well, he's just not very original at all.
No.
He doesn't have a thought of his own.
No.
No, I mean, yeah, Satan's a created
But I
being.
think it was on purpose, really. I
Mm.
mean, when you think about, look at, for these thousands of years now, all of the confusion and chaos, it has messed with people's mind of what is the truth and what's not the truth. I mean, it's
Right.
so mirrored, but
Mhm.
slightly off or opposite.
It makes you wonder why God would even want to do this since He knew all this. I mean, you would think when you're going to give birth to a child, you'd think if your child's going to grow up to be evil, you just would think, I don't want to have a child. Right? You would think, why would God do this when He just wanted company?
Or no, I mean, he did it out of love.
You know?
I mean,
But
every
we still knew that there was going to be some, I just.
well, would it be worth it if he just created everybody and we were all robots and we were all just, like, no, because
I'd like to see a
true
lot more good.
love is free will.
Yeah, that's true.
Walking through people, their mess, some come out the other side, some don't,
Yeah.
seeing that transformation.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing.
prodigal son, watch,
Yeah. So here you have, so it's a whole thing. So just going back to this, Satan's a created being. He was one of the angels. He was the anointed cherub. He wanted to be like God. He wanted to overthrow God. He led that revolt. A third of the angels went with him. But he's a created being. We see him, Job, he can't do anything without God saying, okay, yeah, you can do that. And so you can't ever put Satan on the same level as God. Ever, 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 ever. And people make that mistake today.
Oh, I know.
Like, it's like, this is not a battle of good and evil. This is not like we're waiting to see who wins. Like, this is not like, everybody needs to get that out of their head. Like, we know how it's gonna go. Satan knows he has a short time, but he is so prideful. And his whole thing, he's just so, what did he want to do? He wanted to destroy God's creation.
He's narcissistic.
Yeah, and so he wanted to destroy God's creation. So he went to Adam and Eve and said, oh, but you can be like God. What's going on in our society today?
People think they are God.
Yeah,
think
Yeah.
you can reach that level.
yeah. I don't get it. Because I'm like, look, I can't keep up with myself.
I
And
can't heal anybody.
exactly, like,
I don't have any power.
I know who I
Having no
am.
problems
Like-
between me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, I don't get these people that are like, yeah, it's like, why would you want to do that? Because you
Because
just,
they have higher consciousness than you do.
yeah, I'm like, ooh. And I'm like, because I've seen people and I'm like, I've seen myself. I know what I'm capable of and what I'm not capable of. And I'm like, no, I'm not even going to touch that, not even going to try. I know somebody way more capable.